दण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेषजाड्यापहा.
So sweet. Thank you. To greet our esteemed guests, may I please call upon Dr. Purnima Sharma to kindly welcome our chief guest for today, Professor R. Chidambaram. Thank you. May I please request Dr. Anuradha Sharma to welcome our guest of honor, Professor J.S. Bajaj sir, with a bouquet of flowers. Thank you, Dr. Anuradha. May I humbly request Dr. Archana Bajpai to present a welcome bouquet to the President of the National Academy, Professor C.S. Bhaskaran sir. Thank you, ma'am. May I please call upon Dr. Anuradha to kindly welcome Professor S. Padmavati with a bouquet of flowers. Thank you, Dr. Anuradha. May I call upon Dr. Archana Bajpai to present a bouquet to the Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Dr. Sanjeev Mishra, sir. Thank you, Dr. Archana. May I call upon Dr. Purnima to please present a bouquet of flowers to the Honorary Secretary, Professor Sanjay Wadhwa, sir. Thank you, Doctor. May I kindly invite the eminent dignitaries on the dais to please proceed for lighting the lamp.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Director, sir, to give his welcome address. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Professor R. Chidambaram, Padma Vibhushan, Principal Scientific Advisor, Government of India, our chief guest for the evening, and one of the most eminent scientists of this country. Professor J.S. Bajaj, Padma Vibhushan, Emeritus President, National Academy of Medical Sciences, and guiding force for this event. Professor C.S. Bhaskaran, President, National Academy of Medical Sciences. Dr. Sanjay Wadhwa, Honorary Secretary, National Academy of Medical Sciences, distinguished members of the Council, galaxy of eminent guests, delegates, fellows, and members of the National Academy, members of the Organizing Committee, faculty, students, people from the administration and the staff of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, and also of the AIIMS Jodhpur and persons from the press. I welcome you all to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur, for the 53rd Annual Conference of National Academy of Medical Sciences. AIIMS Jodhpur is a new institution and was created under the PMSSY scheme of the Government of India to correct regional imbalances in healthcare in India, and was given the status of institution of national importance and made autonomous by an Act of Parliament in August 2012. AIIMS Jodhpur had the unique distinction of being the second AIIMS in the country to become functional after the AIIMS in New Delhi, which started in 1956. We started with the mandate to become a center of excellence in education, training and research in India and abroad. National Academy of Medical Sciences India envisages fostering academic excellence towards promoting health of society as its goal and encouraging medical education, promoting research by recognizing talented biomedical scientists through fellowships as well as memberships. Under the guidance and chairmanship of Professor J.S. Bajaj, Emeritus President, National Academy of Medical Sciences, a NAMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Collegium was created encompassing the 6 new AIIMS. The aim of this Collegium is to achieve the common goal of promotion of knowledge of medical sciences in India and its practical application to the problems of national welfare. This conference today is the first important activity of the Collegium in the form of a symposium on sleep medicine which we had yesterday, and this conference of the National Academy of Medical Sciences and the convocation being held today. It is a matter of great honor and privilege for us at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur, to host this prestigious conference. We are grateful to the National Academy of Medical Sciences, India, for depositing confidence in AIIMS Jodhpur and giving us this opportunity. We also have the unique distinction of being the first among the new AIIMS to formally start our OPD service and have a formal inauguration by the Honorable Health Minister of India, Government of India. We would like to state that we are committed to the high standards of patient care with compassion for the sick and commitment to serve the underserved. We have a highly motivated and dedicated faculty, and under their guidance and we hope to produce the best medical graduates and postgraduates who will make our presence felt nationally and internationally. I hope that our association with the National Academy of Medical Sciences will give an opportunity to our faculty to rise to greater heights. This academic event has renowned biomedical scientists and academicians, and I am sure that the delegates will be enlightened by their views and knowledge. We hope that by the end of 2 days of deliberations, you will have newer insights into the topics that are being covered. I hope that your experience will be a memorable one. With these few words, I once again welcome you all to Jodhpur and to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Honorary Secretary, National Academy of Medical Sciences, Dr. Sanjay Vadva, for the further proceedings.
The President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, Dr. C.S. Bhaskaran sir, I request your permission to present fellows and members who have been elected and are present here. Thank you, sir. Sir, I present to you Dr. Patwardhan Bhushan Keshav.
Dr. Patwardhan has made outstanding contributions to the area of ethnopharmacology and herbal drugs technology. He has used modern biomedical sciences for evidence-based Ayurveda. He developed novel pharmacological models to study botanical immunoadjuvants. His pioneering work on genetic basis to the concept of Prakriti is well recognized. He is one of the top cited authors in Ayurveda with over 100 research publications. 1680 citations and 8 patents and 18 PhD students. He has worked as advisor to WHO on traditional medicines and is a member of task force of NKC and Planning Commission.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Patwardhan Bhushan Keshav, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Vijay Kumar.
Dr. Vijay Kumar, a promising molecular cell biologist, has revealed how a viral protein such as HBX proteins of hepatitis B virus can abet oncogenic sabotage, leading to a transformed phenotype. His work has shown that the oncogenic potential of viral HBS is not restricted to the mitogenic signaling or transactivation functions, but can also dysregulate cell cycle by increasing CDK2 kinase activity, interfering with ubiquitination of host protein, including ribosome biogenesis, modulating AKT kinase, and the activity of pre-replicative machinery of the cells. He developed India's first transgenic onco-mouse model of hepatocarcinogenesis, useful in new anti-cancer drug discovery. Recently, he has provided first evidence for a methylation-dependent molecular switch essential for the inhibition of chromosomal DNA replication. He is recipient of Lady Tata Senior Scholarship, Indo-French Exchange Fellowship, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize, Gold Medal, Zoological Society of India, and Ramneek Lal J. Kinariwala Cancer Research Award. He has more than 65 publications to his credit.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Vijay Kumar, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. R. Renuka Nair.
Dr. Nair has established the Cardiac Cellular Laboratory at Sri Chitra Trunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum. Her work focused on the biology and metabolism of heart muscle cells, showed the age-associated variable response to metabolic modulation and the role of oxidative stress. She is also concentrating on cardiac stem cell biology with overt implication for the prevention of adverse cardiac remodeling. She has published in good international journals, award received by her from ICMR and other national agencies and international agencies indicate the recognition that she has received for her work.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Renuka Nair, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Kim Wi-Fi.
Dr. Wi-Fi has contributed immensely in the field of gastrointestinal and hepatobiliary diseases in the last 20 years. Her commitment in this field is strongly supported by a large number of publications in national and international journals. She is a recipient of prestigious International Cancer Research Technology Transfer Fellowship by the International Union Against Cancer, Geneva. Her research in experimental model induction of colon cancer by chemical carcinogen and analyzing the preventive role of zinc and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents is noteworthy. She has extended her research in a variety of important challenging conditions like celiac disease, a common debilitating condition in the northern part of the country, by investigating the altered profiles of the immunomodulators in disease pathobiology. She has been awarded Dr. R. M. Kasliwal Award by the National Academy of Medical Sciences, India in 2013.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Kim Vaishri, as a Fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Neena Valecha.
Dr. Valecha developed clinical trial expertise for the first time in the institute and initiated pharmacovigilance quality assurance programs in the drug development. Her work led to the introduction of new drugs for the treatment of malaria in India, namely alpha-beta artemether, bulaquin, and fixed dose combinations of arsenate, atorvaquone, and arterolone piperacin. She has published more than 186 research articles. Malaria drug policy revolves around her work on drug development. She has been awarded Bayer Environmental Science Award, Srimati Bela Devi Oration, and Professor P.K. Das Award.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Neena Valecha, as a Fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Palluru Vijachari.
Dr. Vijachari has expanded the scientific activities of the center into various fields including diarrheal diseases, chikungunya, dengue, lymphatic filariasis, tuberculosis, in addition to leptospirosis. His noteworthy and commendable contribution to the establishment of H1N1 laboratory facility in the center in a short period during peak epidemic in September 2009. Timely establishment of the facility in providing diagnostic support to local health authorities and containing the epidemic influenza. He has more than 65 publications in national and international journals of repute. He has awarded European Union Fellowship Award and ICMR International Fellowship Award.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Palluru Vijayachari, as a Fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Mamidipudi Srinivasa Vidyasagar.
Dr. Vidyasagar's contribution to radiation oncology is immense. He has many research papers to his credit. He has contributed to the basic research in radiation oncology, which includes chemoradiation, predictive assays in radiotherapy, and fractionation in radiotherapy. He has conducted various teaching programs in Manipal, which were rich in academic content. He was responsible for starting MSc Radiation Physics and MSc Nuclear Medicine Technology course in Manipal. He is a very active member of various social organizations which help in early detection of cancer, prevention, with reference to usage of tobacco and palliative care.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Mandipudi Srinivasa Vidyasagar, as a Fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Gurpreet Singh Wander.
Dr. Wander has been actively involved in research and has published 146 papers. 17 of them in foreign journals of repute like the Lancet, JACC, AJC, and British Heart Journal. He's contributed 7 chapters in textbooks, including API Textbook of Medicine. He is a member of the core committee which has formulated Indian guidelines for management of hypertension in 2001 and 2005. He is recipient of Dr. K. Sharan Cardiology Excellence Award and Dr. B.C. Roy National Award.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Gurpreet Singh Vander, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Panna Chaudhary.
Dr. Chaudhary, a consultant pediatrician for 30 years, has served as the President of Indian Academy of Pediatrics and as Editor-in-Chief of its indexed journal Indian Pediatrics for 6 years. Dr. Chaudhary is advisor, expert, investigator for Government of India, ICMR, Indian Academy of Pediatrics, PHFI, WHO, UNICEF, DST, Emory University, etc. His major initiative is conceptualization and implementation of newborn resuscitation program with American Academy of Pediatrics. This program was subsequently taken up by the Government of India as Navajat Shishu Suraksha Karyakram. He is engaged in community-oriented research, has published 100 papers and edited many books. Dr. Chaudhary's thrust areas are child health, nutrition, and vaccinology.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Panna Chaudhary, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Ravinder Goswami.
Dr. Goswami has been a member of the Faculty Department of Endocrinology and Metabolism at AIIMS since 1998. Through his significant research, Dr. Goswami has contributed original knowledge in the field of metabolic bone disorders related to vitamin D deficiency and idiopathic hypoparathyroidism. The quality of his scientific work has been nationally recognized by the prestigious Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award in 2008, Fellowship of the Indian Academy of Science, Bangalore 2007, Indian Science Academy, Allahabad in 2011, and the prestigious Dr. R.V. Rajamoration of the NAMS in 2011. He has devised and applied novel study designs to explore the scientific basis of clinical disorders of calcium metabolism. Dr. Goswami is a leading investigator in the field of clinical endocrinology.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Ravindra Goswami, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Pramod Kumar Julka.
Dr. Julka is a well-known cancer specialist of the country with over 3 decades of cancer treatment and research and a variety of major breakthroughs to his credit. He has treated cancer patients from all the segments of the society. He has authored chapters on cancer treatment for various books and published more than 175 research papers in medical journals of repute. He has participated as a principal investigator in various national and international clinical trials of new drugs and performed India's first peripheral blood stem cell transplant, following which high-dose chemotherapy in metastatic breast cancer, and this has been also noted in the Limca Book of Records. He is a recipient of Padma Shri in 2013 and OISCA Foundation Award, which is a UN award, in 2001.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Pramod Kumar Julka, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Niranjan Khandelwal.
Dr. Khandelwal has been instrumental in introducing DM Neuroradiology course at PGI in the year 2008. He introduced several new diagnostic and interventional techniques in the department such as CT-guided vertebral biopsy, vertebroplasty, carotid artery stenting, and endovascular treatment of aneurysms, AVMs, and fistulas. Dr. Khandelwal is a keen researcher and has published over 300 papers in various national and international journals of repute. He has also edited 7 books on different subspecialties of radiodiagnosis and also contributed 42 chapters. He has delivered the J.C. Bose Memorial Oration, Professor S.N. Sengupta Memorial Oration, Dr. Prashant Shetty Memorial Oration, Dr. Arkat Gajraj Memorial Endowment Oration, Dr. S.K. Sharma Oration, and the Golden Jubilee Extension Lecture.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Niranjan Khandelwal, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Harbir Singh Kohli.
Dr. Kohli devised innovative peritoneal access for doing peritoneal dialysis in young children. He was also instrumental in setting up the mobile hemodialysis unit in PGI to provide dialytic support to patients admitted in different ICUs. He has studied different aspects of kidney diseases in elderly population. He has more than 100 research publications and has the distinction of being awarded both the Bansal Oration and the Kullar Oration of the Indian Society of Nephrology. He's also been conferred the ICMR award. He has also been awarded the International Society of Nephrology Fellowship Training and Fellowship of the Indian Society of Nephrology. Dr. Kohli, please.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Harbir Singh Kohli, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Ashok Shah.
Dr. Shah's research on allergic bronchopulmonary as well as sinus aspergillosis has received international recognition. He has pioneering work from India on human seminal plasma allergy, postcoital asthma, rhinitis, allergic rhinitis, and sinusitis, and the effect of nasal polyps on asthma. He has characterized chronic anaerobic pneumonitis and documented the occurrence of bronchial anthracofibrosis and hypersensitivity to mango. He has more than 130 publications to his credit. He is the recipient of D.N. Shivpuri Oration, Vikas Arya Memorial Oration, NCCP Sipla Oration, Dr. O.A. Sharma Oration Award, Indian Chest Society Oration, Assam Chapter. He was president of the Indian College of Allergy, Asthma and Applied Immunology.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Ashok Shah, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Devinder Mohan Thapa.
Dr. Thapa is a reputed academic dermatologist who has to his credit over 485 scientific publications in international and national specialty journals, especially in the field of leprosy, STD and AIDS. He has also authored 3 books and 7 chapters. He was the editor of Indian Journal of Pediatric Dermatology from 2004 to 2008 and is present working as editor-in-chief of Indian Journal of Dermatology from 2009. He has been awarded the prestigious Ambadi and Dr. Sardari Lal Memorial Oration Award. He was the president of the Indian Association for the Study of STD and AIDS from 2006 to 2007.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit Dr. Virendra Mohan Thapa as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Mukesh Tripathi.
Dr. Tripathi has significantly contributed in the field of anesthesia with special interest in cardiac anesthesia. He was the first one to describe that non-smokers are more prone to develop pulmonary edema than smokers during acute coronary syndrome. He reported for the first time that the left atrial dilatation in mitral stenosis predisposes the pulmonary artery catheter trip to the left pulmonary artery and measures lower cardiac output than RPA. He has demonstrated biphasic response of sodium bicarbonate on peripheral vasculature in humans. Recognition of his work has got him the oration for International College of Surgeons. He has more than 90 publications to his credit. He's been awarded Professor M.M. Malla Oration, Rukmani Award 1999 and S.K. Bakshi Memorial Research Award in 1988.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Mukesh Tripathi, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Balram Eran.
Dr. Balram is a highly skilled cardiac surgeon. He performs coronary, valvular and congenital heart operations. His special interest is in congenital heart diseases with heart transplant. He has devised and has implanted for the first time left ventricle assisting device. He also has special interest in the robotic cardiac surgery and set up a unit of this in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. As a member, Dr. Balram Eran has been instrumental in training more than 135 MCH candidates for cardiothoracic surgery. He has written chapters in various books. He was the executive member of the Indian Association of Cardiothoracic Surgeons for 5 years and was its president in the year 2004 and 5. He is the vice president and life member of the Heart Failure Society of India and the fellow of Indian Association of Cardiothoracic and Vascular Surgeons. Dr. Balram Eran, please.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Balram Eran, as a fellow of the Academy.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Ajay Narayan Gangopadhyay.
Dr. Gangopadhyay has been serving as teaching faculty of the pediatric surgery since 1983. He has more than 200 publications to his credit in national and international index journals. And he has written 15 chapters in various books. He has innovated 15 techniques in the management of pediatric surgical patients. His contribution in the field of research on anorectal malformations, neural tube defects, and pediatric solid tumors is noteworthy. He has innovated MCH training in pediatric surgery through UGC Innovative Project. He has been awarded 3 fellowships and 4 orations in this field. Dr. Gangopadhyay.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Ajay Narayan Gangopadhyay, as a fellow thereof.
Doc-
Sir, I present to you Dr. Ashok Kumar Gupta.
Dr. Gupta is a renowned plastic and reconstructive surgeon. As recognition to his contribution, he was awarded the coveted FRCS by Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, United Kingdom, and Doctorate of Science honoris causa by an international university. To materialize his dream of social service, he began conducting free reconstructive surgeries for the underprivileged people in remote areas of the country. He is a recipient of Padma Shri Great Achievers Award, Dr. P.N. Joshi's Ovation, Ranbaxy Ovation, Dr. Murari Mukherjee Ovation. He was a member of the Board of Governors of the Medical Council of India, New Delhi in the year 2011-2012. He is President-elect of the Association of Plastic Surgeons of India for the year 2013-14.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Ashok Kumar Gupta, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Gupta.
His major contributions are in the field of medical education, breast cancer and wound healing, with special reference to diabetic foot. He has more than 85 research papers to his credit. He is recipient of Dr. C.P.V. Menon Gold Medal of Indian Journal of Surgery, Boycott Fellowship of Department of Science and Technology and Commonwealth Fellowship. He delivered Professor Krishnamurthy Ovation and Dr. S.P. Srivastava Memorial Oncology Ovation. Dr. Gupta, please.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Gupta, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Rajkumar.
Dr. Rajkumar has made significant contribution in developing pediatric neurosurgery in UP and North India. He is a recognized teacher of International Society of Pediatric Neurosurgery. His contribution in the field of spinal malformations and deadening malformations of the head and neck junction, craniovertebral junction, are vividly known and cited in the literature. He has more than 350 research articles in various international and national journals, and he has contributed several chapters in books. He is recipient of Baba Saheb B.R. Ambedkar Excellent National Award, Vigyan Ratna Award, Vigyan Gaurav Saman Award, Shailya Shri National Award, Molecular Award, Ratan Shri Ambedkar National Award, and Sir C. Ram Memorial Award of National Academy of Medical Sciences. Dr. Rajkumar.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Rajkumar, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Chitranjan Narhari Purandre.
Dr. Purandre was recently elected as President of the Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology Societies of India. He cemented a partnership with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of Government of India, WHO, UNICEF, etc. He has 80 research papers to his credit. He has special interest in the fetal medicine and high-risk pregnancy and was the first to perform a fetal surgery in India. His nationwide campaign by adopting villages in India, maternal death review and maternal near miss program view with the Federation of Gynecologists of India are commendable. He is a recipient of Rashtriya Gaurav Award, Srimati Lakshmi Bai Adhikar Award, Dr. Kannada Award, Dr. Saroj Desai Award, Mediscape India Best Gynecologist Award, and Dr. Sonawala Ovation, Dr. Asha Lata Kar Ovation, and Dr. Usha Sharma Ovation. Dr. Purandare, please.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Chittaranjan Narahari Purandare, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Jaiveer Singh.
Dr. Jaiveer Singh joined the faculty of an upgraded Department of Community Medicine, which he currently heads. He led it to emerge as a key partner in the advancement of public health in the state and the country. Owing to his deep academic commitment and enabling managerial philosophy, he was bestowed with the responsibilities of proctor, dean, and briefly as Vice Chancellor of the University. He built strategic partnership with national and international organizations, expanding avenues for research and training. He is recipient of the Best Teacher Award, WHO Fellowship, INCLAN Fellowship, and USAID Fellowship.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Jaiveer Singh, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Jaspal Singh Sandhu.
Dr. Sandhu is at present working as Dean, Faculty of Sports Medicine, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. He initiated and created this Department of Excellence and was elevated as Professor of Sports Medicine in 2000. He is a researcher, educationist, and administrator whose work has been recognized in Asia and global sporting faculty. He has more than 200 publications to his credit. He has been awarded Fellowship of Association of Surgeons of India, Indian Association of Sports Medicine, Indian Academy of Sports Medicine and Exercise Science, Asian Federation of Sports Medicine and International Federation of Sports Medicine. He was President of Indian Association of Sports Medicine.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Jaspal Singh Sandhu, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you Dr. Anil Suri.
Dr. Anil Suri is a well-recognized and eminent scientist in the field of cancer biology. His outstanding research resulted in discovery of a unique class of antigen called cancer testis antigen, which are important for early detection and diagnosis and can be implicated as immunotherapeutic targets by employing dendritic cell-based approach. One of the molecules discovered by him is sperm-associated antigen 9, which is widely characterized in multiple malignancies, including epithelial ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, and breast cancer. His excellence in transitional and reverse transitional research is evident from his publications in the esteemed journals. His contribution in gynecological cancer management has been recognized by Indian Society of Reproduction and Fertilization India, which awarded him the Lebeshtwar Award, USA Foundation.
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you, Dr. Anil Suri, as a fellow thereof.
Sir, I present to you the members who are receiving the scrolls at this 53rd annual convocation. Dr. Bhavneet Bharti, Dr. Dimple Chopra, Dr. Vishal Chopra. I would request them to please stand on the seats and then come one by one to receive the scrolls. Dr. Devi Dayal, Colonel Dr. Tathagat Chatterjee, Dr. Mridul Chaturvedi, Dr. Sandeep Grover, Colonel Dr. Atul Kotwal, Colonel Dr. Jyoti Kotwal, Dr. Ritushri Kukreti, Dr. Sandeep R. Mathur, Dr. Harvinder Singh Pahwa, Dr. Tulika Seth, Dr. Bansi Sabu, Dr. Seema Bhargav, Dr. Soreen Bhunia, Dr. Maria Matthew D'Souza, Dr. Sandeep Dogra, Dr. Shanta Datta, Dr. Girish MP, Dr. Ashima Goyal, Dr. Mohit Dayal Gupta, Dr. Sunita Gupta, Dr. Ashok Kumar Jaina, Dr. Naveen Kalra, Dr. Rajesh Kashyap, Dr. Jyotdeep Kaur, Dr. Vijay Kumar Kutala, Dr. B.S. Nandakumar, Dr. Reena Ranjit Kumar, Dr. Nirupam Madan, Dr. Azaz Ahmad Malik, Dr. Ravi Mohan Surya Narayan Mavuduru, Dr. Subina Narang, Dr. Pankaj R. Raghav, Dr. Harmeet Singh Rehan, Dr. Vimi Rewari, Dr. Sandesh Kumar Sharma, Dr. Gagandeep Singh, Dr. Rama Kumar Kant Singh, Dr. Vibha Singh, Dr. Sangeeta Talwar, Dr. Ranjana Tiwari, Dr. Vivek Trikha, Dr. Aman Baba Rao Upgalwakar, Dr. Chandrasekhar D. Upasani, Dr. Neelam Wadhwa, Dr. Somasekhar A.R., Dr. Sunita Tiwari, Dr. Harshinder Kaur, Dr. Narendra Kumar, Dr. Manish Rathi, Dr. Sonu Goyal, Dr. Srinivasan Anant. Dr. Preeti J. Matthew, Dr. Biswar Ray,
In the name and by the authority vested in me as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, I admit you all as members thereof.
Dr. Bhavneet Bharti, Dr. Dimple Chopra, Dr. Vishal Chopra, Dr. Devi Dayal, Colonel Dr. Tathagat Chatterjee, Dr. Mridul Chaturvedi, Dr. Sandeep Grover, Dr. Atul Kotwal, Dr. Jyoti Kotwal, Dr. Ritushri Kukreti, Dr. Sandeep Mathur, Dr. Harvinder Singh Pahwa, Dr. Tolika Seth, Dr. Bansi Sabu, Dr. Seema Bhargav, sorry. Dr. Sorin Bhunia, Dr. Maria Matthew D'Souza, Dr. Sandeep Dogra, Dr. Shanta Datta, Dr. Girish MP, Dr. Ashima Goyal, Dr. Mohit Dayal Gupta, Dr. Sunita Gupta, Dr. Ashok Kumar Jaina, Dr. Naveen Kalra, Dr. Rajesh Kashyap, Dr. Jyotdeep Kaur, Dr. Vijay Kumar Kutala, Dr. B.S. Nandakumar, Dr. Reena Ranjit Kumar, Dr. Nirupam Madan, Dr. Ajaz Ahmed Malik, Dr. Ravi Mohan Surya Narayan, Dr. Subina Narang, Dr. Pankaja R. Raghav, Dr. Harmeet Singh Rehan, Dr. Vimmi Rewari, Dr. Sandesh Kumar Sharma, Dr. Gagandeep Singh, Dr. Ramakant Singh, Dr. Vibha Singh, Dr. Sangeeta Talwar, Dr. Ranjana Tiwari, Dr. Vivek Trikha, Dr. Aman Babarao Upganlwarkar, Dr. Chandar Shekhar D. Upasani, Dr. Neelam Wadhwa, Dr. Somasekar A.R., Dr. Sunita Tiwari, Dr. Harshinder Kaur, Dr. Narendra Kumar, Dr. Manish Rakhi, Dr. Sonu Goyal, Dr. Preeti J. Matthew, Dr. Biswadya Ray, Dr. Srinivasan Anant. Now, lifetime achievement. Now, may I request the President to please read the citation for conferment of Lifetime Achievement Award.
Friends, this is one of the important functions of today. There is conferment of Lifetime Achievement Award on the doyen of the cardiologists in the country, no less than Dr. Sivaramakrishna Padmavati. She was born on 20th June 1919, completed graduation in medicine, following which she qualified for the award of MRCP London and Edinburgh. In 1948, she was awarded FRCP in 1957. She was awarded PhD honorary causa in Sri Venkateswara University, Tirupati, and DSc honorary causa, MGR Medical University, Madras. She joined as lecturer in medicine, Lady Hardinge Medical College in 1951 and was appointed as professor of medicine in 1955. She was the president of All India Heart Foundation, vice president of Asian Pacific Society of Cardiology, director, International Cardiology Foundation. Presently, she is the director of the National Heart Institute, New Delhi. She made major contributions towards the elucidation of epidemiology of cardiovascular diseases, focusing both on rheumatic heart disease and ischemic heart disease. She served as a member, expert committee on cardiovascular diseases, World Health Organization. She has more than 200 research papers to her credit. Recipient of many distinctions, honors and awards, Professor Padmavati was conferred Padma Vibhushan by the President of India in 1992 and Padma Bhushan in 1967. She had delivered Glaxo Oration of the National Academy of Medical Sciences 1974-75, Academy Oration 1976-77 as the President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences. She had earlier served the Academy as Council Member 1972-75 and Vice President of the Academy 1973. She was the recipient of Harvard Medical International Lifetime Achievement Award 2003, Dr. B.C. Roy National Award 1975, Kamala Menon Research Award 1975, and Kashnik Memorial Award by the Indian Council of Medical Research for outstanding work on cardiovascular diseases. I present unto you, sir, Madam Sivarama Krishna Padmavati.
Sir, may I request the Honorable Chief Guest now to please present the medals to people who have been selected for delivering various orations. Dr. V.R. Khanolkar oration for 2012-13. This oration was established in 1987 to commemorate the memory of late Dr. V.R. Khanolkar, the first president of the Academy. The oration is delivered by an eminent medical scientist. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. Kusum Joshi, FAMS, Professor and Head Department of Histopathology, Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education and Research, Chandigarh. Her oration is on viral force of kidney transplantation. Dr. R.V. Rajam oration 2012-13. This oration was established in 1977 on the occasion of 80th birthday celebration of Dr. R.V. Rajam and is awarded to an eminent medical scientist to deliver an oration on a subject which has relevance to the health needs of the country. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. Rajendra Prasad Tripathi, FAMS, Director, Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences, Brigadier S.K. Mazumdar Marg, Timarpur, Delhi. His oration is on recent trends in molecular imaging. Achanta Lakshmipati oration 2012-13. This oration was established in 1973 and is awarded on a subject which has relevance to the health and medical problems of the country. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. Mohan Kameswaran, FAMS, Director, Madras ENT Research Foundation, Chennai. His oration is on auditory neural processes, a window to the future. Dr. B.K. Anand oration, 2012-13. This oration was instituted in the year 2004 in the name of Dr. B.K. Anand, an eminent neurophysiologist and past president of NAMS, by a donation from Dr. B.K. Anand Benevolent Trust. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. Bhola Nath Dhawan, FAMS, ex-director, Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. His oration is on experimental and clinical evaluation of nootropic activity of Bacopa moniera linnae, Brahmi. General Amir Chand oration 2012-13. This oration was established in 1981 by the Tilak Tirath Vidyavati Chutani Charitable Trust, Chandigarh, to perpetuate the memory of late Major General Amir Chand. This oration is delivered by the awardee on the research work done by him. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. Sridhar Dwivedi, FAMS, Dean, Principal and Professor of Medicine, Professor of Preventive Cardiology, Hamdard Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, and Associated HAH Centenary Hospital, Jamia Hamdard. His oration is on effect of lifestyle interventions in coronary artery disease. Dr. Baldev Singh oration 2012-13. To commemorate the outstanding contributions to clinical neurosciences of Dr. Baldev Singh, who was founder fellow of the Academy and professor of neurology, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, the National Academy of Medical Sciences, India, instituted an annual oration out of the funds graciously donated in 2007 by the Honorable Chief Minister of Punjab, to be named Dr. Baldev Singh oration. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. K. Radhakrishna, FAMS, Senior Professor Emeritus, Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum. His oration is on molecular genetics of drug resistance in epilepsies. Dr. Prannath Chotani oration 2012-13. This oration was instituted in 1999 on the subject of tropical medicine and communicable diseases to commemorate the contributions of Dr. Prannath Chotani, a past president of the Academy and one of the distinguished fellows. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. Rajeshwar Dayal, FAMS, Professor and Head, Department of Pediatrics, SN Medical College, Agra. His oration is on diagnosis of childhood leprosy, changing trends. Dr. K.L. Wig oration 2012-13. This oration was established in 1993 to perpetuate the memory of late Professor K.L. Wig, one of the founder fellows of the Academy, and is delivered by an outstanding teacher in clinical subjects. The 2012-13 oration has been awarded to Dr. Sunit C. Singhi, FAMS, Professor and Head, Department of Pediatrics, Advanced Pediatric Center, PGI MER, Chandigarh. His oration is on improving child survival, pediatric critical care, training and education is the key. Dr. S. Janaki Memorial Oration 2013. Dr. S. Janaki Memorial Oration is instituted in this year 2013 in the memory of Dr. S. Janaki, a distinguished fellow of National Academy of Medical Sciences and Foundation Professor of Neurology at the G.B. Pant Hospital and Maulana Azad Medical College, New Delhi. The 2013 oration has been awarded to Dr. Pratibha Singhi, FAMS, Professor, Chief of Pediatric Neurology and Neurodevelopment, Department of Pediatrics, PGI Chandigarh. Her oration is on reducing the burden of neurological disorders in children in India, Mission Possible. Now, the awards of the Academy. Dr. S.S. Misra Memorial Award 2013. Dr. S.S. Misra Memorial Award is awarded for the best unpublished work in the field of biomedical research by a biomedical scientist below the age of 40 years. The 2013 award has been awarded to Dr. Kotambali N. Chidambara Murthy, Head Research and CAM Division of Research and Patents, M.S. Ramaiah Academy of Health and Applied Sciences, Bengaluru. His paper is on Understanding the Molecular Mechanisms of Cancer Prevention by Phytomolecules. Dr. R.M. Kasliwal Award 2013. Dr. R.M. Kasliwal Award is awarded to the best worker in the area of colon and its diseases. The 2013 award has been awarded to Dr. Kim Wi-Fi, Professor, Department of Histopathology, PGI, Chandigarh. Her paper is on aberrant crypt focus and fragile histidine triad protein in sporadic colorectal carcinoma. Dr. Vimla Virmani Award 2013. This is awarded for outstanding work in the field of physical and or psychosociological rehabilitation of neurologically and or mentally afflicted subjects. The 2013 award has been awarded to Dr. P.S. John, Director, Fatima Matha Spinal Cord Regeneration Center, Chengalcherry, Kerala. His paper is on bone marrow modulation for spinal cord regeneration. Dr. Shyamlal Saxena Memorial Award 2013. This is awarded for the best unpublished or published work in the field of biomedical engineering by a biomedical scientist. The 2013 award has been awarded to Dr. T. Samraj, FAMS, Gandhi Road, Salem. His paper is on transition of histology practical teaching from light to virtual microscopic method. Dental Public Health Award 2013. Dental Public Health Award has been established by the Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry with the aim of recognizing merit and encouraging talent in public health dentistry. The 2013 award has been awarded to Dr. Mahesh Verma, FAMS, Director Principal, Maulana Azad Institute of Dental Sciences, New Delhi. His paper is on ethical dilemmas amongst students in a dental institution. Dr. S.S. Sidhu Award 2013. Dr. S.S. Sidhu Award is instituted in this year 2013. It is awarded for the best published or unpublished research work in the field of orthodontics and maxillofacial orthopedics by a clinical investigator. The 2013 award has been awarded to Dr. O.P. Kharbanda, FAMS, Professor and Head, Division of Orthodontics and Dentofacial Deformities, Center for Dental Education and Research, AIMS, New Delhi. Dr. Vinod Kumar Bhargav Award 2013. Dr. Vinod Kumar Bhargav Award is instituted in the year 2013. It is awarded for the best published or unpublished research work in the field of clinical pharmacology or drug development in India by a biomedical scientist below the age of 45 years. The 2013 award has been awarded to Dr. Bikash Medhi, Additional Professor, Department of Pharmacology, PGI, Chandigarh. His paper is on granulocyte colony stimulating factor. It improves memory and neurobehavior in amyloid beta induced experimental model of Alzheimer's disease. Now, sir, I have the pleasure of requesting you to present Professor J.S. Bajaj Award for the best student performance in the symposium on sleep medicine which was held yesterday. The winner is Abhijit Singh Bharat. He is second year MBBS student of this All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur. This carries the certificate and 5,000 rupees cash award. This young bright boy is also a recipient of Director's Gold Medal for standing first in MBBS first professional examination. He has received already 3 gold medals and distinction medals in the subjects of physiology and biochemistry. Abhijit Singh Bharat. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations to all the awardees. Now I would like to invite President, National Academy of Medical Sciences, Professor C.S. Bhaskaran, to address the fellows, members, and rest of the guests.
Our esteemed chief guest of today's function, Sri R. Chidambaram, Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India and former Chairman, Atomic Energy Commission. Our respected guest of honor, Professor J.S. Bajaj, Emeritus President and Chairman, Academic Council, NAMS. Honorable members of the Council, Dr. Saroj Chudamani, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Sandhu, Dr. Yogesh Shola, Dr. Madan, and Dr. Haribhai Patel. The organizing committee chairman, Dr. Sanjeev Sharma, our past president and distinguished cardiologist who received the honor today, Dr. Padmavati, and fellows and members, newly elected fellows and members, friends, delegates and ladies and gentlemen, and our honorary secretary, Dr. Sanjay Chawla. I, as the 23rd President of the NAMS, extend to you my warm greetings and welcome you all to the 53rd Annual Conference of NAMS being held at AIIMS Jodhpur. Sir, chief guest of today's function, we are indeed very grateful to you, sir, for having accepted our invitation and graced this occasion in spite of your busy schedule. We thank you for the same and for your support and goodwill. We are very happy that this conference is being held in this historic city of Jodhpur, the former capital of Marwar state and presently the second largest city of Rajasthan. The venue of the conference, as you all know, is the newly started AIIMS at Jodhpur, and this campus, under the directorship of Professor Sanjeev Mishra, has provided us an excellent ambience and amenities for this annual conference. The scientific program of the conference is packed with 2 symposia, series of orations, award paper presentations, coupled with free and poster presentations. The National Academy of Medical Sciences is established with objectives to promote and disseminate knowledge in the field of medicine and allied disciplines and enhance the quality of professional education and healthcare. Also to encourage medical and biomedical scientists in our country by recognizing their work and stimulate them to pursue research of the highest order and actively participate in the planning and formulation of national health programs. The Academy is also recognized by the Government of India as the nodal agency for continuing medical education. Our esteemed it was in the year 1959, the Government of Andhra Pradesh initiated the proposal to establish an Academy of Medical Sciences. The Government of India, recognizing the need, has established the National Academy of Medical Sciences on par with other national institutes of India. It was registered in 1961 as Indian Academy of Medical Sciences, later changed to National Academy of Medical Sciences, India, and inaugurated by the then Prime Minister, late Pandit Jawaharlal Nehruji. The first convocation was held on 8th December 1963, which was addressed by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, the then President of India. In his convocation address, he stated, I quote, I hope this medical academy, which represents different sciences with men of achievements in their respective spheres, which offers incentives to men of promise that they can also get their distinctions, will be regarded as something to which all our youngsters will look forward, unquote. He further said, I quote, a fellowship of the academy must be a matter of honor and not a matter of maneuvering or intrigue, but a manner of straightforward work which is acknowledged as first class in nature. That should be the quality which we should encourage, unquote. This continues to be the principal directive of the Academy till today, and I hope it continues forever. The Academy has been scrupulously fulfilling its objectives over the past 5 decades by following the traditions set by our eminent predecessors. In pursuance, every year we recognize outstanding contributions made by our biomedical scientists belonging to various disciplines in medicine and allied sciences, confer fellowships, memberships, academy orations, and academy awards. These conferment and awards of the Academy has become a brand name for highly cherished distinction conferred after rigorous peer review process, and has been our endeavor to keep the excellence as the primary goal. At present, we have honorary fellows 3, fellows 822, elected members 685, and registered members as MNAMS as 3,707 on the live register of the Academy. This year, 30 fellows and 58 members were elected. The Academy has established a Lifetime Achievement Award to honor fellows who have made outstanding contributions to the growth and development of biomedical sciences over the past several decades. And we are indeed very happy Dr. Sivaramakrishna Padmavati, an eminent cardiologist, a very senior fellow, and the past president of the Academy, is conferred this prestigious award at this convocation just now. The Academy is grateful to you, Madam, and we are honored by your gesture in accepting the award, and we are grateful to you for the same. During this annual conference, we have 10 orations delivered by eminent personalities, and we had 7 papers presentation by the NAMS awardee and a Golden Jubilee Commemoration Award lecture by the youngest fellow of the year. Of these, Dr. Janaki Memorial Oration, Dr. Sindhu Award, Dr. Vinod Kumar Bhargava Award are instituted this year. In addition, we also had 2 important, well-structured programs in the form of Regional Symposium on Sleep Medicine, NAM Scientific Symposium on Regenerative Medicine. I am happy to inform you that during this course of the year, that the National Developmental Council has approved the 12th plan proposals of the NAMS with a recording that agencies such as NAMS can play a useful role in developing programs for continuing medical education in the country. We greatly appreciate the efforts of Professor Bajaj in ensuring that the role of NAMS is recognized by the NDC. Further steps are being taken to implement the proposals as indicated in the 12th plan document. We are also taking necessary steps to enhance the learning resource material making available through NAM's website and monographs, to establish a LRM library and to streamline the publication of the annals of the Academy. As a part of the fulfillment of our mandate, the Academy is giving top priority to CME programs. All the CME topics are so chosen keeping in view of the national health relevance. During the year 2012-13, 2 intramural CME programs, one NAMS PGI Symposium on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in children and adolescents, and the other NAMS NFI National Symposium on micronutrient deficiencies were organized at PGI Chandigarh and Nutrition Foundation of India, New Delhi, respectively, and 18 extramural CME programs were organized by the various medical institutions in the country. During this year, it is proposed to organize at least 5 national or regional symposia and 20 extramural symposia on identified priority areas in health. We are making efforts to get the NAMS CME programs recognized by various state medical councils and MCI to award credit hours to the participants attending the NAMS. We have also made a major effort to improve the outreach of the CME programs by establishing telelinkages. The NAMS PGI Center, Chandigarh, is the first center to get connected to the medical colleges in Punjab, Haryana, and also to some district hospitals in Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. Encouraged by the successful outcome, this year NAMS PGI Center has conducted a symposium. It was a telelink with Shimla and Tanda with great success. NAMS is making further efforts to optimally utilize the IT-enabled services to increase the outreach of CME program to more and more medical colleges through the National Knowledge Network. The Academy, in collaboration with the newly established All India Institutes of Medical Sciences in Jodhpur, Bhopal, Raipur, Patna, Bhubaneswar, Rishikesh, has formed a NAMS-AIMS Collegium to facilitate academic cooperation between the NAMS and AIMS and to strengthen the academic activities. In addition to this, the Academy is striving hard to collaborate with other universities. The efforts are being made to enter into an agreement with other universities for training middle-level scientists in various advanced techniques. It's also contemplated to explore the possibility of developing academic collaboration with universities of health sciences in India in order to evolve holistic and comprehensive strategy for improving the quality of medical education in the country. During this year, we have reached some 3 or 4 milestones which need to be mentioned. The important developmental activities and achievements with particular references: 1. Conceptualization of both the symposia, which we have heard yesterday and today at this conference. 2. Approval of the 12th Plan NAMS document. 3. NAMS AMS Collegium. And 4. The signing up memorandum with Central University of Punjab, Bathinda, are entirely due to untiring efforts of Professor Bajaj, Chairman, NAMS Academic Council. But for him, this would not have been accomplished. We are very grateful to you, sir, with recognition of human services rendered by you to the Academy so far, and also appreciating your continuing efforts to strengthen the Academy. The NAMS Council, at its last meeting, resolved to confer the designation of patron on Professor Bajaj as befitting gesture. With reference to the Memorandum of Understanding, we have already entered agreement with Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar last year, and in continuation, we have signed a memorandum with the Central University of Punjab, Bathinda, this year. The Academy is also formulated to mentor the postgraduates and younger members of the faculty, junior and middle-level specialists in different disciplines in various academic institutions by utilizing the expertise of the emeritus professors and senior fellows of the Academy. To award travel fellowships to promote skill upgradation in emerging technologies and acquire new skills at the chosen centers of excellence, and also to give financial grant for travel to NAMS awardees to encourage participation of young professionals to present scientific and research papers. Several professionals have already benefited from these programs. Presently, most of the medical colleges in our country, with few exceptions, are finding it difficult to impart right quality and quantity of medical education. Reasons for this being many and varied, which we need not go into details at this juncture. However, the need of the hour is to get ourselves updated with the latest trends and keep abreast with the modern innovative technological practices and diagnostic methods. Though our Academy is over 50 years old, it is the ideally suited organism now geared up to meet the challenges to fulfill the demands and aspirations of the public at large and the medical profession in particular. Before I conclude, at this juncture, I would request all fellows and members to take active part in all deliberations of the Academy and strengthen the Academy. Sir, we have seen the presentation of scrolls and honors to newly elected fellows, members, orators, awardees, including Lifetime Achievement Award. I, on behalf of the Academy and on my own behalf, heartily congratulate them for the distinctions conferred on them by the Academy on this memorable occasion. We are very grateful to Dr. Sanjeev Misra, Director of the Institute, and Dr. Kuldeep Singh, Additional Professor and Head of the Department of Pediatrics, IIMS Jodhpur, and their team for having worked tirelessly to make this conference a truly memorable one. I would like to acknowledge the guidance, help, and cooperation from the Council members, past presidents, chairpersons of the standing committees, Dr. Manorama Belli, who is not here, our Vice President, Dr. Kusum Verma, our Honorary Treasurer, Dr. Sanjay Vadva, our Honorary Secretary, NAMS, and all other staff of the Academy for having supported me during this 1 year. My special thanks are due to Professor Bajaj, who gave me the inspiration and direction as a friend, philosopher and guide, which enabled me to discharge my functions during this year. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Now it's an honor to invite our guest of honor for today's ceremony, Emeritus President and Chairman, National Academy of Medical Sciences, India, Professor J.S. Bajaj.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. R. Chidambaram, President Dr. Bhaskaran, distinguished guest Dr. Padmavati, officers of the Academy, Director AIMS Jodhpur, members of the organizing committee, esteemed fellows, delegates, honored guests. It's with a sense of great pleasure and profound pride that I welcome Dr. R. Chidambaram, the chief guest of the evening. Dr. Chidambaram, as all of you know, has a distinguished career as nuclear scientist. But his career path has intimately intertwined with biomedical sciences. His address today on healthcare and medical research would indicate to you what a panorama of experience he has gathered during his distinguished career. He received his PhD in nuclear magnetic resonance NMR in 1962, was conferred with the Moulton Foster Medal for his best doctoral thesis. As you know, NMR imaging was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2003, Paul Lebatier and Sir Peter Mansfield. For the DSc, he extended his studies in material sciences and worked with crystallography. X-ray crystallography was now very common. As you know, vitamin B12 structure X-ray crystallography, insulin structure X-ray crystallography. But if I remember correctly, Dr. Chidambaram, you use neutron crystallography because the location of the hydrogen with X-ray diffraction is not very precise and very clear. So you modified that, but you worked on protein structures and amino acids. And to that extent, you got into a field which is so close, and let me mention why. Professor Dorothy Hodgkin, that you knew well, was awarded Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1964 for her work elucidating the structure of penicillin and B12 using X-ray crystallography. She reinvented crystallography with every major molecule she solved. More importantly, she really brought the basic maxim that you cannot proceed in science without relating structure to function. So biological structure, molecular, and the cellular function she integrated together. The use of molecular structure to explain biological functions. May I remind this august audience that Dr. Chidambaram, he may not have realized, shares a unique distinction with Nobel laureate Dorothy Hodgkins. Both have been refused US visa entry in their lifetime. It happened to Dorothy Hodgkin in 1953 when she was invited by Nobel laureate Linus Pauling for discussion of helical structure of protein amino acids at a conference in Chicago. Likewise, Dr. Chidambaram was not positively reciprocated when he approached the US for a visa to attend the 1998 annual conference of the International Union of Crystallographers, of which he is a distinguished member. Because when Buddha smiled, Uncle sitting in 10 White House frowned. So either you make Buddha smile or you remove the frowns. So it was, in fact, it was not refused because they did not reciprocate positively. He withdrew his visa application as a very dignified scientist of the country. But sir, let me assure you, Dorothy Hodgkin was awarded the Nobel Prize 11 years after the refusal of visa, and we hope the same happens to you. As director of Bhabha Atomic Research Center and later as chairman Atomic Energy Commission, Dr. Chidambaram ensured a continuous and constant supply of high-quality radioisotopes, which strengthened the research climate in India. The total impact of the research with radioisotopes, we owe our gratitude to Dr. Chidambaram. For the last several years, he steers the National Knowledge Network, which provides ultra-fast cyberwave that has become a key determinant for the success of Prime Minister's vision of present decade. Prime Minister said, my vision is, let the present decade be a decade of innovation. And the year 2012-13 as the year of science. National Knowledge Network is stimulating major initiatives in knowledge areas, health, education, science and technology, bioinformatics and agriculture. And as you would hear from his speech, he wants to use it. Now purpose is to reach the medical profession. As the chairman of the Committee on Tertiary Health Care, constituted by the Planning Commission, we identified NKN as a major mode for not only medical education and research, but also for delivery of health care. Several projects have been already initiated. I am convinced that after listening to his inspiring address, you will share my firm belief that Dr. Chidambaram is not only a nuclear scientist, but also a leading visionary with major contributions to biomedical research. Let me come to the special occasion that is today. Exactly 50 years ago, on 8 December 1963, we are just short by 45 days. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan delivered the address at the first convocation of the Academy. So this is the Golden Jubilee Convocation of the Academy. It was inaugurated in 1961 by Prime Minister Nehru, but first convocation address when fellows were invited was 1963. So truly, sir, we are happy and privileged that after Dr. Radhakrishnan, you are now delivering the Golden Jubilee Convocation address today. I was present in Vigyan Bhavan and was greatly inspired by what Dr. Radhakrishnan said. And I cite, our boys and girls, our men and women, are not inferior in intelligence or innate ability. They are people who can be raised to the level of first-class researchers in medical sciences as they have been raised in other sciences. You also find the environment and atmosphere of research, a love of advancing the frontiers of knowledge. This must be instilled into every young mind. You must try to give them the critical and creative path which they are endowed, full scope and full opportunity for expression. He was addressing the fellows at that time. I think if our teachers have got that sense of not merely transmitting knowledge, but transmitting love of research, our boys and girls would respond adequately to the appeal which they make. Unquote. And I think today the fellows have the same responsibility. Let me do a bit of plagiarism and borrow from what Dr. Chidambaram said last year. He said there is talent, talented people, and there are gifted people. And he defined talented people those whose achievements have been recognized, like the fellows today. Gifted people are those whose potential has yet to be nurtured and brought to the surface. It is the job of the talented to find the gifted. And then he said, gifted are 4 types: gifted, moderately gifted, profoundly gifted, and then I think he said profoundly gifted and selectively gifted. I apologize if I have not quoted you properly. I have only tried to say, if with his permission, the last 2 categories, I will say perceptively gifted and intuitively gifted. Because perception and intuition play a great role in the minds of gifted. You bring the first 2 categories into that vision and they will blossom and you will get the rewards. In the golden jubilee, our academy looks back with some satisfaction to the young scientists. And tomorrow we have the awardees who are presenting their outstanding work, and these scientists have worked with our fellows, senior fellows, and perhaps we are fulfilling the obligation. But all of us have a feeling, and certainly I have, that what we have done in this direction is minuscule as compared to the expectation that Dr. Radhakrishnan had from the fellows. And I think all of us have to look inwards as to why we have not brought out that young gifted people, nurtured them, see them blossom. Perhaps we are threatened that they may occupy our chairs. It is often said that medical research in our institutions is handicapped because of lack of tools of ultra-modern technology. Perhaps it's partially true. Viewed in a wider context, let me quote Warren Weaver, and I quote, "Science is not technology. It's not gadgetry. It's not some mysterious cult. It is not a great mechanical monster. Science is an adventure of the human spirit." He moves on. It is essentially an artistic enterprise, stimulated largely by curiosity, served largely by disciplined imagination, and based largely on faith in the reasonableness, order, and beauty of the universe of which man is a part, unquote. And adventure of human spirit, people don't have the technology, still they try to climb the Everest. And they are not going to live there forever. They go there, but it is a question of achieving what nobody else has done. If a handicapped person without power in the legs reaches the Everest, why can't we make our people reach the Everest of the scientific research and fulfill the obligations that the society has? As a student of medicine in the last 6 decades, perhaps too long I have stayed in the profession, it has been a quantum leap in our knowledge of biomedical sciences. It may be justifiably argued that the cumulative impact and import of advances in the last 6 decades has surpassed the total impact of medical research in the last 6 centuries. And still, there are peaks to be counted. If you look at the perceptive history of medicine, what are the 3 things which come out of the scientists who achieved magnificently? And I call it a holy trinity: intellectual integrity, perceptive intuition, and courage of conviction. And rest you can read, but I'll only mention a few examples. Frederick Grant Banting, an orthopedic surgeon, and Charles Best, a medical student, got together. Banting had the idea: ligate the pancreatic duct, exocrine system will disappear, rest of the system may give us insulin. Best did the glucose estimations, Banting did the surgical work. The head of the department at that time in Toronto was a man called MacLeod. This Scotsman was enjoying his summer vacations, fishing in Edinburgh, comes back, looks at the data and knows a discovery has been made. The first paper published is Benting and West, Journal of Clinical Investigation, reference is there 1922. He tells them to make another paper for American Journal of Physiology and then gently suggests you have to be a member to have that paper published. If you don't mind, can I put my name? And within a year, he shares the Nobel Prize with Benting. So a history of Nobel Prize says insulin was discovered by Benting and MacLeod. Best's name no longer exists. Every medical student knows Benting and Best except the Nobel Committee. Benting was so furious, and that is what integrity is. He sent a telegram, and I quote the telegram. It's one of the important issues. At any meeting or dinner, please read following. I ascribe to Best equal share in discovery. Hurt that he is not so acknowledged by Nobel trustees. Will share my prize with him. Unofficially, he shared half of the prize. Officially, 1922, Nobel Prize in Medicine or Physiology, MacLeod and Benting, it was never corrected, Best was never included. Contrast this with Dorothy Hodgkin. After winning the Nobel Prize, she was working on structure of insulin. The Nature paper, when it was published in 1969, the names were arranged alphabetically, and the person whose name appeared first Blundell because of B is the alphabetical. She told me once, Blundell was not born when I started work on insulin crystallography, but it so happened that parents put his name alphabetically first. Dorothy's name was third from the last. That is what intellectual integrity is. If you inspire young people, they will rise to the best. If you try to put your name on their work like MacLeod did, MacLeod's name is in the dustbin of history. People admire Benting and West, generations of people who have been benefited by insulin. So the posterity judges not only your intentions, but your integrity. What about intuition? The Nobel Prize in 1936, Henry Dale and Otto Loewi. And you can read the story in his own words. But Otto Loewi was working on the idea that the nerves do not act directly on the tissue. There is something which they release which then activates the tissue. So engrossed, he slept on an Easter night. In the middle of the night, he gets a dream, gets up, scribbles something on a piece of paper and sleeps. Next morning, tries to read that paper and cannot decipher what he wrote. The next night, he again gets the same dream, 3 o'clock. REM or non-REM, I don't know. He doesn't sleep. He goes to the laboratory and does the experiment which he saw in the dream. 2 frogs, heart dissected, cannula stops at an Ringer lactate. Cuts the vagus nerve of one heart, leaves the nerve of the other. Stimulates electrically, naturally, heart will slow down the beating, acetylcholine. But takes the fluid out of that and puts in the second cannula where the nerve had been cut. And that fluid acts the same way, the beat gets slower. And he said, there must be something released by vagus stimulation which is in the circulation, which slows the heart. And shares with Henry Dale, 1936 Nobel Prize. So you have to have a commitment even to dream of your research experiment. And if you have that commitment, middle of the night dream, don't sleep. If he had not got it on the second night, he would not have got it on the Nobel Prize. Third is, what is important is courage of conviction. And here, especially because it's relevant to places like Jodhpur, is a very recent story. And this story is about two people. One is student, an intern just qualified, Western Australia, Wayside Medical College like Jodhpur, called Barry Marshall. Now Barry Marshall, and I quote, he wrote, "When I was in medical school, I was given the impression that everything had already been discovered in medicine, so I never thought that medical research would be interesting." And then somebody tells them, there is a crazy professor of pathology, like Kosam Joshi. Go to his lab, maybe he has some idea. So he goes to the lab and asks him, "Sir, do you have an idea?" He said, "Look, son, I have been looking under the microscope for years and years. The biopsy specimens of gastric ulcer. Some or the other, I always find some type of organisms around the inflammation. I have not successfully cultured anything, but I am sure it's not psychosomatic, it's not the usual what the big doctors tell you. There is an infecting origin of this peptic ulcer." So this Barry Marshall gets inspired. Culture after culture, months after months, nothing happens. Then chance comes. Easter holidays, the agar plates are left in the incubator. Not intentionally, but just somebody forgot to take them out. After Easter holidays, the plates are taken out and there is Helicobacter staring on your face. The genus Helicobacter was described, the characterization of the organism took place, antibiotic treatment was thought, but then the question was, you have to have a model to say this is cause and effect. They tried animal models, nothing happened. So one day Barry Marshall thought, if it is so true that I am convinced, he took the Helicobacter cultures, had his own gastroscopy done, clear, no inflammation, no bacteria, drank the glass of Helicobacter. 3 weeks later, severe pains, second biopsy, the organisms there, proved that this Helicobacter causes gastric ulcer. 2005 Nobel Prize, Barry Marshall. And Barry Marshall got the Nobel Prize before he got his MD from the university. So to say that there is nothing to be discovered in medicine, lot is to be discovered. The eyes should be there, an inspiring teacher should be there, experience should be there, and your courage of conviction and pursuit of science should be there. Combine these attributes, you may not reach Nobel Prize, but you will have the satisfaction of discovering something new. It's always there. Before I close, and all this is well written here, so I don't have to read. Let me now go to the last bit of the in our country and in several other parts of the world, if you fail, what is to be done? Blame either the government or your fate. And I have quoted Shakespeare in Julius Caesar. This is something which all of us should remember. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Not in our stars, but ourselves. But this is a negative connotation. 2000 years ago, Thiruvalluvar, the great Tamilian poet, philosopher, rationalist, what he said was, those who continue to work hard on right lines and without any decline in commitment will vanquish even fate. Julius Caesar says, fate is not to blame. Thiruvar says, You can conquer fate if you do that commitment. And I think Indian philosophy is far superior to Shakespearean. The wisdom should continue to guide all, inspire. And let me share a confidence with you. Although great Tamilian Dr. Chidambaram spent half his life in Bombay Atomic Energy, but large number of years he spent in Meerut where he had his education. So I cannot resist without quoting an Urdu couplet to which he is very much attuned. And that is Iqbal. Allama Iqbal I consider as a poet not only of India, Pakistan, but the subcontinent. And Iqbal says, बादे बद मुकाबिल से क्यों घबराए उकाब, ये तो चलती है तुझे ऊंचा उड़ाने के लिए. Let me translate. You have already got it because your Urdu is good. Bad is the wind. Bad mukabil is the wind blowing from opposite direction. Bade bad mukabil, kyun ghabraye uqab, why the eagle should be perturbed if the wind blows from opposite direction? Take it. It is only to make you soar higher in the sky. ये तो चलती है तुझे ऊंचा उड़ाने के लिए. My message to the young people is, obstacles will be there, opposition will be there. Always take it positively. After every opposition, you will rise higher. And I hope Balram gets the message. Thank you very much. यकीन कर नहीं चश्मा किसका हाँ
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. It's my privilege to invite our honorable chief guest, Professor R. Chidambaram, to kindly release the souvenir and give his convocation address.
Professor J.S. Bajaj, Professor S. Padmavati, Professor Sanjeev Mishra, Professor C.S. Bhaskaran, Dr. Sanjay Wadhwa, Fellows of NAMS, members of NAMS and friends. It's a privilege to be with the fellows and members of the National Academy of Medical Sciences and with so many distinguished doctors and biomedical scientists. And I'm very grateful to Professor J.S. Bajaj, Chairman of your Academic Council, for inviting me to the convocation function, which is a part of your annual conference. I congratulate the award winners and the newly elected fellows and members. It was so pleasant to hear about their research achievements in a variety of medical fields. And also this young man, second year medical student, who apparently, I don't know what are the process adopted, but after hearing the symposium on sleep medicine yesterday, I think he got it, whatever was given, probably the best. He just now heard an excellent talk by Professor Bajaj. He ended it by talking about obstacles. Obstacles. You know, unless you have, you cannot do excellent research unless you have a capacity to take risks. If you avoid risks, you will guarantee to do safe and second-rate research. But quite otherwise, I want to tell you a story about Heisenberg. Since Professor Bajaj has told stories, Professor Heisenberg's teacher was Sommerfeld. And as you know, Heisenberg got the Nobel Prize for his postulating this uncertainty principle. And for his PhD thesis, which was not, of course, on this, Sommerfeld had called Wien. Wien was the man who had postulated the radiation law and all that. And during the Viva, Wien asked Heisenberg, what is the relation between resolution and wavelength? All he had to say was, the lower the wavelength, the better the resolution. But Mr. Heisenberg somehow blanked out. And Mr. Wien tried it in all kinds of ways, the thesis examiner, but he couldn't answer that question. So with great difficulty, Sommerfeld got him a pass marks on that. And you know, for years Heisenberg went on worrying how I could not answer that simple question. And that is how he discovered the uncertainty principle. Because the uncertainty principle is also a relation between resolution and wavelength. So you say you should not, sometimes there are failures, sometimes there are obstacles. But if you concentrate, and of course you must have a high intellect, can turn out into a very successful story. Jodhpur has now a special position in the medical scenario of India, because AIIMS Jodhpur is one of the 6 new AIIMS established by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Personally, it has also a special place in my heart, because during the preparations for the nuclear tests, both in 74 and 98, we always went to Pokhran via Jodhpur. We landed here and then we drove to Jodhpur. Dr. Bajaj mentioned about my work in NMR and in neutron crystallography. My interest was in hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonding, as you know, one of the most prevalent and potent interactions in biological molecules. Even water, all the water molecules in ice or water are held together by hydrogen bonds. The 2 strands of DNA are held together by hydrogen bonds. The conformations of proteins is decided by the hydrogen bonds. And as you correctly said, because it has only an atomic number of 1 and only 1 electron, and it is also shared in a hydrogen bond, X-ray diffraction does not show you the position of this. And that is why you have to go to neutron. Neutron scattering cross sections are not dependent on the atomic number. It requires a number of nuclear resonance cross sections and all that. And that is why NMR also, proton magnetic moment, but that's an indirect evidence. Direct evidence comes from neutron diffraction. And in we had done a lot of work on amino acids, hydrogen bond interactions in amino acids. They become the input, the precise stereochemical configuration of hydrogen bonds that you determine. For example, the longer the hydrogen bond, the more you can bend it. The shorter the bond, it cannot become very linear easily. That's why you have got long hydrogen bonds. And they have used this data, Dorothy Hodgkin on vitamin B12 and insulin data. And also Venki Ramakrishnan, who got the Nobel Prize, that is X-ray crystallography. When he solved the structure of one of the subunits of the ribosome, the most complex structure solved. And also, he also looked at the complexes of the ribosome with the antibiotics, which gives you a pathway for designing new antibiotics. You know, the great biologist Peter Medawar says, always he's written a book, young guy, he's written a book, Advice to a Young Scientist. Advice to a young scientist. It's also good for old scientists, but the advice to the young scientist is always work on important problems. Important to science or important to society. And very interestingly, Venki Ramakrishnan's work relates both to science and to society. The quality of healthcare in a hospital depends on the quality of the doctors and of other staff. On the one hand, a hospital must provide excellent and affordable health care to the patient. The late pioneer neurosurgeon Dr. B. Ramamurthy, both of us are members of the Council of the Indian National Science Academy, and it so happened, I think that was in Jaipur, we shared a room, and Dr. Ramamurthy told me that when he was heading the Madras Medical College, he used to tell the junior doctors, if you order 10 pathology tests, 9 of them must show an abnormality. Otherwise, what are you doing as a doctor? If you refer everything to the pathology test, and this habit of overusing these MRI images for reasons sometimes which are not nothing to do with medical, these are the ones one has to vary, because we have more so than in Dr. Ramamurthy's earlier career than now, best way of utilizing our limited pathology resources. At the same time, a leading hospital must be quick enough to adopt the latest technologies. You must have the latest technology. And we must also remember that most of our high-end diagnostic and therapeutic medical instruments today are imported. There are of course outstanding exceptions, like the Cobalt-60 radiation therapy unit Bhabatron made by the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. And I have a feeling, and I've had this feeling for a long time, that doctors and engineers in the country must get together to indigenize more and more such advanced instruments, advanced diagnostic and therapeutic instruments. And doctors should not go by branding alone. Of course, branding, you get familiar. Scientists also do that. So you start using NMR spectrometers, you go for Bruker, you dual microscopes or X-ray diffeomens or whatever. And you must allow an avenue for indigenization. If you want to become a knowledge economy, there is very little doubt that India will become a developed country sooner or later. Sooner rather than later if you put our house in order. But if you want to sustain that status of being a developed country, you have to become a knowledge economy, knowledge-driven economy. And indigenization, particularly of electronics hardware, we have slipped very badly. We are trying to restore it. We have set up nano-electronic centers. We have a committee established by my office on electronics hardware, a core advisory group for what I call pre-competitive applied research. Pre-competitive. If you want proprietary product development, it is the business of the company. It's not the business of the government. But if there are generic problems in any industry, then it becomes the problem of the government. We did it in automotive sector, machine tool sector, and now the electronics hardware sector. And if you want to become a knowledge economy, you must have a correct mix of basic research, high quality basic research, what I call directed basic research. Directed basic research. For example, if you are a protein crystallographer, how many proteins are there in the human body? 35,000, maybe more. You saw the structure of any of them, it is publishable in a leading journal. But tuberculosis is a tropical disease. I and Professor Vijayan have often discussed this. And maybe there are a couple of dozen proteins which are relevant to tuberculosis. If you solve the structure of any one of these proteins, using the same competence that you have, same facilities. Of course, you must crystallize that protein, that is then purify and then crystallize. Then it becomes directed basic research. Still basic research, because we are not asking you to find an alternative cure for tuberculosis. That somebody else will do. But you have all these structures right, and as he correctly said, solving the structure is only the beginning. In a protein molecule or an enzyme, you must look at the structure-function relationship. And what should you do? What should be the right inhibitor molecule once you have all this data? So, if you want to become a knowledge economy, basic research, because we are a civilized country, the highest intellects in a country must be allowed to work on fundamental problems of their choice. You don't ask a Raman or a Ramanujan why you are doing. You submit a project report and some of us will sit together and try to prove whether that project is worth funding or not. We must participate in mega science projects looking at the origin of the universe. What is dark energy? Or you want to find the ultimate structure of matter, Higgs boson. We are a partner in that. All that is one part of it. But then, if there are areas in which India can become a leader as a result of our technology foresight analysis, then you direct a part of your basic research, a good part of your basic. This is an additionality, not a substitute for self-directed basic research. In those areas, then it becomes directed basic research. And in medical area, one can think of many such areas. Basic research, directed basic research, applied research. And if you want to become a knowledge economy, it has to be combined with manufacturing skills. You must generate knowledge. What is innovation? Research is generation of new knowledge. Innovation is adding economic value or strategic value or societal benefit to knowledge. Medical devices is another field, and bioproducts field which we must collaborate again between users, doctors and engineers or material scientists. I understand that of the approximately 3,200 types of medical devices available globally, we had a kind of a brainstorming session with a committee in our office. Only around 100 are produced in India. Here again we have some excellent initiatives, starting with the mechanical heart valve of Dr. M.S. Valyathan, designed in the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Science and Technology. Many other devices and bioproducts have been made in their biomedical technology wing. So one of the unique wings. That's why Sri Chitra comes under the Department of Science and Technology. Doesn't come under the Health Ministry. And after Valyathan, Dr. G.S. Bhuvaneshwar led it extremely well. And this institute has continued to strengthen its partnership with industry. There are new groups emerging. There is an excellent group coming up in IIT Madras, Mohan Shankar, led by a young man called Mohan Shankar, Shiva Prakasham, and some other institutions, the medical devices fields, with good links to industry. Incidentally, I have been associated with Sri Chitra Institute as its president of the governing body for some time, and I'm happy to note that the director, when I was Dr. K. Radhakrishnan, who was till recently the director of Sri Chitra, will be talking tomorrow on molecular genetics of drug resistance in epilepsies. Clearly, a hospital, in today's India, a hospital should also be a research center. Encouragement should be given to both clinical and basic research. I know that due to the high patient load in India, high quality medical research in India is limited. And there is plenty of very valuable clinical data which is lying there to be made use of, but somehow we are not able to make use of it. And here I think NAMS can play a very pivotal catalyzing role in enhancing this. Dr. Bajaj referred to the National Knowledge Network. This is the a multi-gigabit per second, actually multi-tens of gigabits per second, scalable optical fiber network, which the government wants all the knowledge institutions in India to be connected. All the knowledge institutions, all universities, all national labs, all AIMS. Dr. Sanjeev Mishra was telling me that you have an NKN connection here. And a few days back we had the second NKN workshop in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. There was tremendous enthusiasm, and a couple of your young colleagues have obviously gone there. Because, there is a backbone network, which is a very high power network, 31 POPs as we call it, points of presence, super POPs. Multiple links, redundant 81 backbone links are there, because it is something which can provide you guaranteed service. Even if a link fails, you will get it across another link. And from each one of these POP, you have started with giving a 1 gigabit per second connection to the various institutions. And to make use of it well, this project is implemented by the National Informatics Center. I happen to be the chairman of the high-level committee. We can track how many of the megabits out of the gigabit per second that you have been provided, each institution is using. So you must have a good local area network, secure local area network, which is user friendly to all the potential users, so that they can access it without moving around too much. And these are the issues we discussed there. And out of the 1500, 1100 are already connected. And we also have international connectivity. We have connectivity to the European Union grid, very strong connectivity. And the advantage there is that TFR, for example, is a partner in one of the detectors, what we call the CMS detector, which was looking for the signatures of the Higgs boson. And as the experiment was going on, all the data was streaming into TFR because of the NKN. My colleague Hosur, sitting in Bombay, can operate the European synchrotron source at Grenoble, or the synchrotron source because he sends his protein crystals, put it on robotics arm, brought to the beam, X-ray beam in the synchrotron source. The data comes here. You choose your crystal, which is the one which is diffracting the best. And having done that, all the data comes over here. So in many of these advanced facilities, something we are going to do in India also with our own synchrotron source which is there in Indore, and the new one is going to come up. All these robotic facilities, people can access it remotely. Even within the country, we decided that in order to showcase or inform people about the potential, it's not just an internet connection that you are familiar with. This is a high bandwidth, what we call a low latency connection, very quick response. We have also started indigenizing some of these equipment. And 2 days back, we released this router, as we call it, very high-speed router, which is designed, what we call the carrier Ethernet router, designed by IIT Bombay, a brilliant young guy, Gashwin Gumashte from IIT Bombay, and MTNL is going to use that for. And that has even faster latency than what you get with imported, 1 microsecond latency, port to port. So all these, MTNL is going to put into a hub of eight such routers connected by optical fiber, and this is going to be and this is working extremely well in their trials. But for scientists, we wanted to show what we call some model projects in order to demonstrate the power of this. And many of the model projects that we took up relate to medical education and healthcare. In the area of medical education, we launched a model project with AIMS Delhi as the principal investigator. 8 institutions have joined AIMS in this experiment and have come up with solutions after mutual consultations. And what they are using it is high-end graphics coupled with animation for routine skills transfer, blood and urine sample, blood pressure monitoring, etc., transfer and direct video for classroom interaction. So you can also link together some institutions when all of them are teaching the same course and a same super specialized course. Students are in all these places, but the faculty is fragmented. Then you can bring them together through the NKN. So all the students can hear all the professors. Of course, you must work out either the logistics among the institutions in terms of timing, or you put everything into a cloud and it's up to the institution concerned to pick up what course that they want. And as I said, because of the low latency, you can also have questions being asked by students at all these places. Of course, you must, I don't know if you have to change your medical council has to change its rules for e-examination, students, or you have to sit down and watch over the guy who is doing and all this. But one has to make these changes if you are to make use of... see, the basic idea in another model project is related to medical, is to use engineering design solutions to solve medical requirements. There is a platform developed by NIC which is called the Collab CAD platform. CAD standing for Computer Aided Design. It was originally designed as software capable of three-dimensional structural simulation with all these engineering nuances. It has been used by Bach, by Space, by Tata Motors, and it has been retargeted to solve a personalized dental imaging problem. One of you got an award in dental area. So you can have a watch if you are interested. Look at what is happening here. And see, essentially what they are using is a multiple 2D images to create a 3D virtual reality. And 3D leading organization, National Informatics Center, CSO Chandigarh and AIMS Delhi have been brought together. See, today we are in the midst of what is called the third industrial revolution, which is being driven by the internet. It is also being driven by what is called additive manufacturing. Normal mechanical manufacturing is subtractive manufacturing. You take a piece, remove some material, and here is your product. And here what they are doing is you deposit layer by layer using laser, electron beam techniques if you are going to use metal. And the advantage is additive manufacturing using the internet. You don't need to have economy of scale, because whether you make 1 or 10, the cost per unit remains the same, because the information is coming over the internet. And here is something very interesting for medical guys, because you can customize the product to suit individuals. Our office supported, see, my office is not a big funding agency, but we support what I call synergy projects. See, the business of the government, scientific business, is divided among many departments. But the things which fall in nobody's territory, or bits and pieces fall in many territories. So all the projects we take up are related to this. This one was a knee prosthesis implant, mega prosthesis, bone eaten up by cancer. We brought together IIT Bombay, Non-Ferrous Technology Development Center, Hyderabad, and Tata Memorial Center, one of the doctors there. And they have made these mega process implant, and it is undergoing trials. Many doctors were involved, AIMS doctors particularly involved in reviewing the project. And here is the one that is ideal, total knee prosthesis, for customizing it. Instead of saying have standard models. Of course, this revolution is just beginning to come. And I would like NAMS very much to get into the basement, so that as the development grows. And then, when I was at McGill 3 years back, they showed me a project on what they call Canada Brain, C Brain. And the C Brain was, they had connected a number of institutions in Canada working in brain research through their network, which is called Canary, so that they share MRI images related to Alzheimer's. So I said, if you have your C brain, I will have my I brain, India brain. And then eventually they want to link up the whole thing into G brain, which is a global brain. So with the National Center for Brain Research in Manesa, we have now connected all the institutions working on Alzheimer's, dementia, maybe stroke. It depends on what the doctors want to share. First you must make the data digital. Preferably you make it into a standard format, then exchange becomes easier. Of course, Obama talks about EMR and all that. Whether it is worthwhile, old data can, I don't know, that's a different issue, but the computer and storage space are so much now that the president of Ottawa, University of Ottawa, he's a doctor, he was saying, why bother, you can always get the data, enough storage space is there, and then you use it the way you want. But in any case, we must now begin to share, particularly the MRI, CT, whatever images among different organizations. And in fact, this has been quite successful, and ICMR is planning to use it as a general purpose infrastructure for several brain related research projects which are multi-institutional. Make it a part of that when you grant a multi-institutional project. Now each one of these model projects has a theme and a purpose, but these are only for demonstration. NKN only provides you connectivity. It is entirely up to you to decide how you want to use it for collaboration, or see number of people involved, starting with even high resolution teleconferencing, talk to each other instead of, it's also a green technology. Instead of traveling by air and wasting aviation fuel, you sit across and the latency is so low, it's like talking. Dr. Bajaj may as well be in Delhi and I am here. You could be talking easily over there. Now, you see, there are two other things which I want to talk to you about is see this question of the availability of drugs in pure and unadulterated form to the patients. And this is not only true in developing economies in India, but also in developed countries in the Western world. And the other issue that has become a major cause of concern is the mushrooming of the so-called diagnostic centers across India without adequate checks and balances. Given the importance of the problem and its ramifications in the public health domain, my office decided in November 2008 to constitute a working group on possible scientific and technological measures. We are not bothered about the extent of it, because something each drug company or the doctors or the medical community has to decide. But this was a working group on possible scientific and technological measures to counter spurious and substandard drugs and diagnostic centers, primarily of course in the Indian context. Dr. P.N. Tandon, the famed neurosurgeon, all of you know him, very kindly accepted our invitation to be the chairman of that group. While the secretariat remained my office, the members were carefully chosen in consultation with Dr. Tandon to include medical scientists and professionals of high repute, as well as senior representatives of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. This group has brought out an excellent report in which various scientific and technological measures already available or those in the pipeline have been collated. An attempt has also been made to evaluate the advantages and disadvantages. Of course, it must be pointed out there is no single technology which can provide a fail-proof measure for this purpose, and the working group had no personal choice of any particular technology. Only what it has done is brought together a comprehensive report gathered from diverse sources for the pharmaceutical industry to choose from according to its own requirements. In early 2004, the attention of my office was drawn by some medical professionals to medical consumables and devices being sometimes not in a sterile form, despite being stamped as sterile. The surgeon may do a wonderful operation, but the gauze which he uses is falsely marked as sterile. That is where the infection can start. This applies, of course, in varying degrees to all countries in the world. As a consequence, in October 2004, my office had, through a working group of medical professionals, a radiation expert and a microbiologist, prepared a report on the scientific evaluation of sterilization practices in India. This report has been received by the medical fraternity in India. Later we felt the need for having what we now call scientific operating procedures, SOPs, of medical sterilization, all the three forms: autoclaving, use of ethylene oxide gas, and use of gamma radiation. Now the advantage of gamma is, wherever it's applicable, that you sterilize it after you have packaged it. So there is no other further possibility of any infection. So my office constituted another working group for the task in October 2008, with largely the same composition as the earlier one, but with the addition of a representative from the Directorate General of Health Services. After enormous work spread over 4 years, the second working group has compiled the SOPs as a report, which I believe would be of immense use to practicing medical professionals, the nursing staff, and the hospital administrators. And so here is a proposal from me. It has been suggested by members of the group that one can hold a workshop, a webcast workshop, using the National Knowledge Network, which can also, later the workshop can also be archived and available on request. And we will be happy to work with NAMS and with Professor Bajaj on this. It can be held somewhere in Delhi. We'll get the people who are experts on the electronic side from this, the committee, and then select some half a dozen institutions or whatever number. All others who want to attend can converge to these places and here, and then it can be archived, can be used. So I will continue to dialogue, and Professor Bajaj asked me, can you give an NKN node at NAMS? We will be very happy to do that. We will be happy to do that from your headquarters. See, let me say a couple of small things which I have been thinking of. Living organisms, including humans, are so wonderfully put together that a great deal of research outside medicine goes to mimicking their compositions and functions. Bones, for example, we have been thinking of composites in the last few decades. Bones are extraordinary composites. I inaugurated a conference on robotics because it's a big area in atomic energy. These robotic scientists have now begin to talk about what they call soft robotics. Can you teach these robots to jump like a hare or to slither like a snake, to go past obstacles and all that? One of the optimization techniques, as you all know, in the solution of physical problems is called neural networks, which tries to mimic the brain in a somewhat elementary way. On the other hand, in the brain, the network of circuits formed with neurons, each carrying out a specific function, but which is often able to function in spite of destruction up to a point. And the interchanging functions of these neural circuits, I must tell you, because I know these computer guys, is the envy of computer designers. A good hammer knock on a computer can make it stop functioning. Who are able to build in redundancy and fault tolerance in computers only up to a point. Conversely, among the many major branches of neuroscience, there is also computational neuroscience which is emerging. Some of you may be even working in that area, which studies the information processing properties of these circuits, borrowing from the concepts of computer science. Finally, everything boils down to electrical. And is now making some initial attempts to construct such functional neural circuits using electronic chips. Professor Bajaj referred to a program we have on gifted children, how to identify and nurture gifted children. And, as he correctly said, talented are those whose innate abilities have already been expressed in achievements. Gifted are those where this has not yet happened. And giftedness in sports and music, very easily spotted. But giftedness in science and mathematics and medical science is much more difficult to spot. And among the gifted, there are moderately gifted, highly gifted, profoundly gifted, to which I have added profoundly and selectively gifted. He has added there was intuitively gifted. There are kids I know who can give the answer to a problem, but they don't know the algorithm by which they have reached it. If their teacher is an insensitive teacher, instead of encouraging, he tells the child, where do you copy this from? The child will stop answering the teacher next time. How to avoid this? So these are all problems, and of course we have other things like rural and disadvantaged children. Ramanujan, Srinivasa Ramanujan, up to the 11th standard he was first in every standard, every subject. But he couldn't pass the next, we used to call it the intermediate or FA exam in the old days. He tried twice to pass. In Government Arts College Kumbakonam and Pachepas College Chennai he couldn't pass. Because he was there in mathematics, but he was there in all other subjects. Not that earlier he was good in all this, but here he had suddenly lost interest. My feeling is that Srinivasa Ramanujan today cannot pass any of our entrance exams. So this is the problem with we are trying how to identify, mentor, nurture these children, and it's a very important issue we have to look at. One of the questions which has been, I've talked to one of the doctors in NCBR, National Brain Research Center. Of course, in the committee which we have, people are looking at, we have an applied psychologist and somebody who is an expert in cognitive science. The question I have been bothered is, are the brains of gifted children recognizably different? There was some work done on the brain of Einstein, I know. I think the results were, I don't know, one of you doctors may know, not very conclusive. Smaller, you see, smaller in size, but in quality, if so, in what way? And genotyping, now we talk of personalized medicine after genotyping an individual, knowing fully his genome. Something beyond genome, or only the genome determines, it's a question mark. The enthusiasts say that's all. The others say maybe not enough. You have to do something more than that. Interestingly, Ayurveda on the other hand goes for holistic treatment. Phenotyping an individual, Vayu, Kapha, Pitta and all that, over and above, it's not just genotyping. Our office has supported a very successful project on a science initiative in Ayurveda under the leadership of Dr. Valiathan. He calls it Ayurvedic biology. What we did was, most of the other research in Ayurveda has limited itself to standardizing the production. Don't make a mistake in the herbs which the sages have suggested. I saw a lady in Sukuba, our Renu Adwa, one of our Indian ladies. She was using the ashwagandha extract from the leaf rather than from the root. Very sensible. She said, and leaves come much more faster and you don't destroy the plant. And Brahmi and ashwagandha, magic. should be holistic treatment. There is no just active principle, something beyond that. We got a lot of top biologists, even Lakhotia from BHU and all that to work on this. So I don't know how many of you are interested in holistic treatment, or all of you are mostly allopathic route. Most of you are allopathic route. But I keep it as a sideline on the. And this, let me say one thing which, you quoted in a Urdu couplet, but let me quote Einstein, But the issue is the same, what you said. Einstein was once asked, what is it that makes a great scientist? And his answer is very interesting. He said, people think it is the intellect. They are wrong. It is the character. It is the character. You must have a feeling for equity and justice. You must not, this is the issue which you raised, you must not put claim to things which you have not done. Just because you are in a position of authority, putting yourself as a co-author is very, very damaging to the young person. So, let me thank you all for your patient hearing, and particularly Professor J.S. Bajaj for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be with you. I wish you in the medical fraternity all the best. And selfishly speaking, what is good for the doctors is good for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now may I kindly request Professor Sanjeev Mishra to present a memento of our deep appreciation and gratitude to Professor R. Chidambaram, sir. Thank you, sir. May I kindly request Professor Mishra, sir, to present a memento to Dr. J.S. Bajaj, sir, as a token of our deep gratitude. Thank you, sir. May I please request you to present a memento to Dr. C.S. Bhaskaran, sir, as a mark of our respect and appreciation. Thank you, sir. May I now call upon Dr. Kuldeep Singh, Additional Professor and Head, Department of Pediatrics, and the Organizing Secretary for this event to kindly deliver his vote of thanks. Thank you.
Good evening. Every event has to come to an end, and we are now coming to the end of this beautiful convocation and the inauguration ceremony. On behalf of the 53rd Conference of the National Academy of Medical Science at AIIMS Jodhpur, it is my proud privilege to acknowledge and extend our sincere thanks to the Honorable Chief Guest, Professor R. Chidambaram, Principal Scientific Advisor, Government of India, for his gracious presence on this occasion and sharing his experience and wisdom with us. Sir, we will assure you that we will follow your advice. Thank you, sir. We are also grateful to Professor J.S. Bajaj, Honorable Guest of Honor, for his continuous guidance and mentoring for this conference and CS Symposium, which is evident by the knowledge gain and the satisfaction of the delegates. Thank you very much, sir. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Bhaskaran for his presence on this great occasion. Thank you, sir. I am also grateful to Dr. S. Padmavati for her presence and inspiring her with her presence. Thank you, ma'am. I am grateful to Dr. Sanjay Vadva for helping us and clarifications for any things related to the arrangement and his timely help. My heartfelt thanks goes to all the distinguished members of the council's distinguished speakers, orators, eminent guests, delegates, fellows, and members of the National Academy of Medical Sciences. We thank you all. My thanks goes to our director, Dr. Sanjeev Mishra, who as a leader brought out skills of all the faculty members of this institute to a near perfection as a team. And I am thankful to our organizing committee members, especially Dr. Puneet Parikh, for his great technical skills and the coordination for making this a grand success. I must accept that without our faculty members, this conference would not have been possible, and I am thankful by heart to them. I extend my sincere thanks to all the students of this institute, administrative staff of National Academy of Medical Science, as well as AIMS, and also the person from the press and the media. Not the least, I acknowledge the contribution of all the supporting staff who have worked day and night in the background and who have made this event memorable. Thank you all.